Good evening, everyone. It's another cool night in the Yukon. I don't know if anybody's ever been to the Yukon, but it's been quite a beautiful place. We're really close to Alaska. I guess you can border to get to Alaska from 4 different locations from the Yukon. One's 2 hours, one's 4 hours, one's about 10 hours, or the other two are about 10 hours. They're pretty far away. Kind of about 10 hours. I think one's about 6 hours. Depending on the time, depending on the year. In the wintertime, you only get there 3 ways. The other way is closed. That's through Dawson. Top of the World Highway is closed this time of the year. Just to give you a little understanding about the Yukon, Yukon has about 39,000 people, and Whitehorse has about 29,000 people. And it's a huge space. It'd be about probably the Southern California up to Seattle or similar in size. And it covers a huge area with very, very little people. So there's lots of places you can go that are in absolute silence. So let's talk about silence. When was the last time you actually went to a space that had no sound? I mean sound, because you were in a house, it's always full of sound. Electricity's always making background sound all the time. Cities are even worse. The sound's everywhere. And the bigger the city, the louder the noise. So how many people have experienced absolute silence? Is there even such a thing? Because there's always the air always makes noise. Like the wind, for instance. Rustling of the grass. Rustling of the trees. On a perfectly calm day, but no sound, is hard to find. And one time I actually went up north, the North Kennel Road. I went to an area where there was no rivers nearby, because rivers, streams, creeks, they make quite a bit of noise. There was no wind. And the nearest place that had services was like a town of Ross River. About 100 people live there. And it's 300 kilometers south. Maybe a little less than that, but not much. On a dirt road that, take my word for it, is not that good at times. But it's a really beautiful place to go. The places like that are getting harder and harder to find in this world, aren't they? The places of absolute silence. Well, when you go to a place like that and you experience silence at such it's an unbelievable level of silence that you won't really understand it unless you experience it. When you're trying to sleep at night, you realize, wow, my mind is really yelling at me. When you experience it, even in the daytime, it's like you realize how deafening your thinking is, how loud it is. So places like that, you start to quiet your mind because, well, you go, why am I yelling inside your mind? But places like that will teach us how to quiet our mind, because in order to do this type of work, that's one of the things you have to do, is quiet your mind. But how can you quiet your mind when there's always sound all the time? Imageries, things crazy. Imagery is something that you can control by just stating that you don't want that in your physical atmosphere, your spiritual atmosphere. So you watch a scary movie and you state, I don't want to have that movie affect my physical and spiritual atmosphere. So the movie, depending on your level of acceptance of the truth, that this is what you state, that will come true. It depends on the level of how that will work. If you truly believe in what you say, it'll work instantaneously. So if you have something like a song that keeps going on and on and on in the back of your mind, try an experiment and say, I don't want to have that song, say the specific song, repeat. You don't even have to really state the name, you just know within your mind because you think of that song. So it's an intention. And you state, I don't want that song to be in my physical and spiritual atmosphere anymore. And just to see what happens. But it goes with so many things in our lives that we have the power to do that if we believe we can. But back to silence. How many people can spend time in total silence? Take your cell phones, put them aside. Because by going places like that, there is no cell service. But you would be surprised how hard it is to find a place that is absolutely silent. You get lots of places that are quiet, but there's always a sound somewhere. Like I say, it could be the wind creating noise in nature. It could be a stream. And that's in places that they don't have any cars or houses or electricity nearby. So if you're in an area that has any of these things, then you're not in a place of absolute silence. It's pretty cool when you go into the sound rooms, the ones that they create that dulling out all sound. That's pretty cool because that gives you an idea. So in cities, there is possible that you can go to places that don't have sound. But does that stop the energy from the sound of the city from reaching you? And that's another topic, isn't it? People's energy, the connection of things. That's why a lot of people like cities, because they like to have the connections with people. But then there's other people that say, I don't want to have all these connections with these people, and they go hide as far away as people as possible. And they get everywhere in between. But you have to ask yourself, if you're not able to stay in a place of absolute silence, even one that is quiet, by yourself, you have to ask questions why. Why can't I be by myself? Why is that reasoning why you can't be by yourself? Why is it that I'm having such a difficult time being by myself? Why am I screaming so loud inside my mind? I never knew that before. I'm telling you, if you go to a place of absolute silence, especially if you live in a big city or a place with lots of noise, you'll realize that your thoughts are really loud. So you start to quiet them down naturally. And then you start to realize that, wait a second, I don't hear anything in my mind anymore. Well, wait a second, I do hear something. Spirits can speak to you easier when your mind is not full. When it's not full of sounds. So one of the places that you go to hear the spirits is places that is quiet and silent, because it's easy to hear the sounds of the spirits because they're whispers in our minds. Peace. The Sound of Silence. Yeah, I love that song. There's many versions of it, the original and some newer versions. There's not too many of them that are bad. Gives you a different perspective on the artist, but you always have to love the original. So what does silence sound like? Does it have a sound? Maybe it is your mind. Maybe it is the sound of silence as the spirit realm. The sound of silence. Does it even exist? Does silence truly ever exist? Because once you think something doesn't make a sound, when you start going down, you realize that maybe everything is sound. Everything is sound. A sound wave. Creation is thought a sound. When you think, is it a sound? They show me many times some of the first words of creation, or the first thoughts of creation was like a sound wave. Looks like one. So maybe silence doesn't truly exist. Because when you start breaking things down to what things are made up of, you start to realize that it gives off sound. When we create with thoughts, intentions, and words. The thoughts have sound. A little bit of something to think about. There's always lots of things that can go through your mind on a daily basis if you allow it. My friends, every time if you hear absolute silence, just take the moment and just enjoy it. Because absolute silence is so amazing. You actually start to crave it when you don't have it. Because it allows us to connect to our soul. It allows us to truly hear and see and feel what is going on in our minds and our spirits. There's a lot of people that meditate. I'm going to tell you a little story. I met as a young friend of mine, acquaintance, that I used to have some conversations with. As I did a journey for him, and one of the first things I seen was big empty spaces, but nothing in it. And one of the things he was really trying to do was connect with his guides, connect with the spirit realm, talk to the spirits. And I said to him, what do you think about when you meditate? Nothing, he says. You think about nothing. I asked the question, if you think about nothing, then how is something supposed to come in your mind? I guess that's where the silence thing comes in. But you got to be very, very, very careful what your intention is. If you intend to have nothing when you're meditating, then that's what you're going to get, is nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. However, how are spirits supposed to speak to you when you gave the intention of you want to hear nothing? You could state, I want to hear my spirit guides. But how do you activate the sound? When sound of spirits is mind, it's energy, it's thought. It's your imagination. It's what they use. It might not be coming from your imagination, but is made up of the same thing as your imagination. So when you want to hear spirits, you have to allow those thoughts to come in your mind, because that's how they speak. So they speak through thought. So thought has sound. Warriors just can't hear it. But a lot of beings can hear it. You actually be surprised how loud thought really is. How powerful thought can be. A lot of the times, one of the ways I like to meditate is I call it visual meditation. You go within a place, the most beautiful place that you feel comfortable at, or create a spot within your mind, and you go to it. And you just visualize, close your eyes, and visualize there. Like some people love beaches, so visualize that you're on a beach. The sun is on your face, the water is splashing against the beach. You're sitting down in the sand and towel. You could have your feet on the rocks, dipping in the water. The waves slowly coming in, or the waves coming in strong. It really doesn't matter. You go to a place that makes you feel amazing. You could just walk along the beach, your feet getting wet, or your feet hot on the sand. You allow that imagery to flow through your mind. You create a space within your own mind, within your own heart. When I first doing journeys, I used to go inside my own heart to start the journey. When you get better and better and better at it, you start to realize you don't need to do any of that. You can just go right into the space that you want to go to. But sometimes it's nice to just walk up to the ocean and watch the sunset for a while. Go for a swim. Sit by a lake. Look at your reflection. What do you look like? Take your hands and dip them in the water and throw cold water on your face. Fly down or fly up to a waterfall. Stick your hand in it as you go up it. Feel the mist in your face, the sound and the wind from the waterfalls. Look at the rainbows they create with the sun refracting off the water droplets. Become a water droplet. Become the water. Become the rainbow. Become an eagle, a wolf, a bear. You could become a fish, a butterfly. And you explore the area that you're in. What's it feel like? What's it smell like? What's it look like? What's it sound like? When you do that for a while, you start to develop your third eye. But you also develop your ability to hear the spirits. Because you start to hear the spirit realm. You start to realize that the sounds in the journey or the meditative visual meditation that you're in is really like a journey. But by listening to the sounds of nature in your journey, you're developing your ability to hear the spirits. Because that's how they speak. They use your imagination to speak to you. They use your mind, a third eye, to speak with you. So you go to the place you love the most. I like going to mountaintops that I've actually been at and traveled to. There's one spot on top of Mount Montana that I really love. You can drive part way up and then you have to walk the rest. It's an old volcano, an ancient pyroclastic volcano that blew up. So one part of the cauldron is still there, the other part is kind of no longer exist. Most people don't even realize it is a volcano. Well, there's one spot, there's a little rock wall, and there's a little patch of grass, and you look to the left or to the right, depending which direction you're facing. And there's a big mountain, jagged mountain that goes off down into a valley with a lake, a skinny lake. But there's mountains as far as you can see, rugged mountains as far as you can see that go off into the distance. As you pan around, you see that there's another lake, skinny lake, and more mountains. And as you keep going right, the mountains become a little more rounded, but they're still beautiful. And you can see so far off in the distance. And you keep turning around, and you get more and more mountains and lakes. And you come across, you look down, you can see the lake below that used to be the cauldron of the volcano. Not the cauldron, the mouth of the volcano, I guess. I'm not sure what to call it actually. It doesn't really matter. As you walk around, or you continue to turn around, you start to see more and more of the mountain. The mountain goes up a little higher from there. But it's rugged mountains, and then you go back and you keep going in circles all around. So you're surrounded 360 degrees with mountains and rivers and lakes. The rivers look pretty tiny. The lakes look like rivers from up here. There's a little patch of grass that you can lie down on and look up at the sky. And then you could turn left and then right. The little wall is not that high. But I like to visualize taking a rock and place it on the wall. And just look around at the scenery for a while. Look around at the rocks, this little bit of grass, the birds that are up there. Not that many birds. But there is some. Ptarmigans. Sometimes you see eagles, ravens. It is beautiful up here. The energy is amazing. And I ask, is there any spirit that wishes to speak with you? Something appears up out of the mountain, spins, and explodes. It is spirit of fire. Interesting. It's the first time this has ever happened to me, that a spirit of the mountain has come before me. And this is exactly what this is. It's the spirit of this mountain. You never know what will appear to you. I walk up to the flames and I ask, is there any type of message you wish to share with the world? To share with me? He speaks in a difficult language. I said, I do not understand what you are saying. He says, he slows it right down and says to me, then I will slow it down. He was speaking so quickly that I could not understand what he was saying. He says, I could have raised my vibration if I wanted to speak with him, or I could have, in other words, I sped up and I could have understood what he was saying. He goes, what is it that you wish to hear from me? Should I speak to you or should I speak to the world? I called upon you to ask if you have anything you wish to share to the world or to myself. So you wish me to speak. You might not like what I have to say. I know. Yes, you do know, don't you? I am the spirit of this mountain. And to mankind, I have very little respect for, because what you have done and how you have treated me. I was robbed from the minerals, crystals within my own body. I understand that you seek these things. But what thanks have you given me for taking the things within my body? You took crystals, you took gold, whatever mineral you thought was worth something. You drilled holes, you caused explosions. You left your garbage behind. That still creates pollution to this day. You want to know what I have to say. I tell you, if you wish to take gold from the earth, then be thankful for it. At least thank Mother Earth, thank the land, thank the mountain that you take it from. Clean up your mess. Don't leave your garbage everywhere. And that'll pollute the land for many years to come. I understand that man seeks minerals to survive. But at least be thankful for it. There is many people that step foot on my land on my body are very thankful for what they see and experience. They explore and truly love what they see. I come here out of respect for you, Joseph, because you see the beauty, and you also shake your head of what man does and how little thanks they give to the world for what they have. You see the beauty in nature. You wondered why everything looked like it had exploded in that area. And you found out that I was a volcano at one time. My fire has dimmed. My anger has subsided. But my spirit is still strong. I do not like when people destroy the land without giving thanks, without trying to make it back to the way it was before. When is mankind going to learn that we need to live together and work together? People look at land as not being alive, but man comes from the earth, is part of the earth, but yet you consider yourself alive. But anything that grows, anything that is on the earth is not alive to you. It is kind of sad that mankind looks at himself as being the only one that is worthy of surviving and living on this planet. I know I don't speak for everyone, but I speak for a lot of people on this earth that think they are above everything on it. But this earth is where your body came from, and where your body will die and become part of the earth again. And your children and your grandchildren, what do you want for them? Do you want them to have a world that is dead, or a world that thrives with life? Some people come to this mountain and explore what is here. All I care about is seeing the damage and destruction that man has left here to rot in my body. But when you come here, you look at how beautiful the thing is, how beautiful the land is, the scenery. You try to see the beauty in everything. You explore what is left of the minds that have raped my body, and you shake your head at this mess that is left behind. But I know I am not perfect. I say that to him. I know, Joseph. But at least you try to be the best you can be. And you see with eyes of creation and understand the importance of mankind working with nature instead of against it. So that is the message I have for the world. When are you going to learn to work with nature instead of against it? This is a message that's been said many times. but many times it goes on deaf ears. And the destruction continues. Someday you will learn that everything is alive, and maybe you should have had just a little more respect for the living things that you your feet on every day. Because at the rate you're going, those living things will lose their soul, and all there will be left is barren wasteland. And the ghosts of what is left. Because if the worlds die, a part of you stays within the earth. And if you can't come back to the earth to reclaim them pieces, it's going to be much more difficult to get them back. So that's the cruel joke. If you destroy the world, you destroy a part of yourselves. You lose a part of yourselves. The learning of the earth. It'll be so much will be lost for the universe to discover. Because there is so much knowledge trapped within the earth, waiting for the human race to wake up to discover and grow with that knowledge. So if the earth is destroyed, you destroy all that knowledge, including yourselves. And then, what will you do? What will you say? Will you be reincarnated on another planet and repeat the process? Or how many times have you actually already done this? How many parts of your soul are scattered all throughout the universe in dead planets that have long been forgotten? Thank you, everyone, for listening to me. I'm going to go back within the earth. Just next time you step foot on a mountain, appreciate the land, appreciate the scenes and the things that you discover. Just say thank you for giving me the opportunity to see things that I could not see unless I climbed this mountain and took a look. A young friend of mine always used to say, the higher you go, the better the view. And the only way you're ever going to know that for sure is to climb a mountain. And then you'll realize that mountains deserve respect and thanks. So that was a little bit of a mismatch of many different things. I have a tendency to do that. I allow things just to flow and messages go and come and stray and flow. He wasn't angry. He was disappointed. He was very disappointed in humans. and our inability to see. But I know there's a lot of you out there that can see. So share what you know. Help other people to see as you see. Help people. There's a lot of good people out there. A lot of them are still locked within their own minds in the shadows and the light. Let's help them see. Thank you very much, everyone. And if you wish to do a service with me, you can visit my website at amonrosstheawakening.com. And you can visit my Northern Lights website at www.josephbradleyauroras.com. And if you have never seen the Northern Lights, you're missing out on one of the most beautiful shows that you ever see. My friends, it's not that common. Beautiful shows that will change your life, that will have you like, oh my God, that's actually what it looks like. Moments is not that common, but they do happen, and when they do, it's just beyond words to explain it. The sky lights up in dancing fire of multiple colors. That the ancestors that can come and dance, and the flames. It's beautiful. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great, wonderful night.